Look down at the zipper on your jacket right now, or on your jeans, or the bag sitting right next to you on the floor nearby. Find the metal pull tab and look closely at exactly what's stamped into it. There's a real chance you'll find 3 small letters pressed directly into the metal itself. YKK. Most people have seen those letters hundreds of times over the years without ever wondering what they actually mean, or why the exact same 3 letters keep showing up on clothes from completely different brands, made in completely different countries, sold at wildly different prices at completely different stores. The first question has a fairly simple answer. The second one is where this actually starts getting interesting. Let's get into it right here on Secrets of Simple Things. What the letters actually say, YKK, stands for Yoshida Kogyo Kabushiki Kaisha, roughly translating to Yoshida Manufacturing Corporation, the name of a company originally founded by a man named Tadao Yoshida in Tokyo back in 1934. That's the entire first layer of the mystery, and it's honestly the less important half of the story. Knowing what 3 letters technically stand for doesn't explain why they've ended up stamped into so many different zippers, on so many different garments, made by so many companies that otherwise have nothing else in common with each other. That deeper answer has almost nothing to do with the name itself, and everything to do with a specific decision Yoshida made decades ago about how his company would actually operate day to day. A tiny part with an outsized job. It did not begin with an ambition to dominate an entire industry from the very start. It began with a genuinely annoying, everyday problem that anyone using a zipper in that particular era would have recognized immediately without needing it explained. In the 1930s, zippers were still a fairly new invention overall, and the ones widely available at the time jammed constantly, snagged badly on the surrounding fabric, and broke without much warning at the worst possible moments. That might sound like a minor inconvenience worth simply shrugging off, but a zipper actually occupies a strange, outsized position within a finished garment. It's small, it's cheap to manufacture compared to almost anything else in the piece, and it's usually the single component standing between a coat working exactly as intended and that same coat becoming completely unwearable overnight. Picture a genuinely expensive winter coat, the kind someone saves up for over several months and reasonably expects to wear for years afterward. Every other component in that coat, the fabric, the insulation, the careful stitching holding it all together, can be absolutely flawless. And none of that quality matters in the slightest if the zipper jams halfway up one cold morning and simply refuses to budge any further. The coat doesn't fail gradually the way fabric might wear thin over time. It fails completely and immediately, the exact moment that one small mechanical part stops doing its job correctly. Clothing manufacturers understood this specific risk clearly, which meant the zipper they chose for a garment was never really a minor purchasing decision buried somewhere in a spreadsheet. It was effectively a bet on whether their entire finished product would actually hold up once it reached a paying customer's hands. Yoshida wasn't the only person in the entire industry at that time who noticed this exact problem existed. Plenty of manufacturers at the time were fully aware their zippers jammed and broke more often than customers would reasonably tolerate for very long. What set his particular response apart wasn't spotting the problem in the first place, since that much was obvious to anyone paying attention. It was the specific conclusion he drew about why it kept happening at all and what that conclusion meant for how a company would actually have to operate if it genuinely wanted to fix the problem for good, rather than simply patch it repeatedly year after year without ever addressing the root cause. How you actually get a reliable zipper. So if reliability was the real problem, how does a company actually guarantee it, zipper after zipper, year after year, at a scale that large? Most manufacturers of any physical product buy their raw materials from outside suppliers scattered across different companies, sometimes across different countries entirely. Fabric comes from one supplier, metal comes from a completely different one, and the finished product gets assembled from whatever those separate suppliers happen to deliver that particular week, with whatever consistency each of them happens to maintain on their own end. Yoshida decided that approach couldn't reliably guarantee the consistency he actually wanted simply because he couldn't fully control what he didn't manufacture himself from start to finish. So his company gradually started making nearly everything involved in producing a single zipper from scratch, entirely inside its own factories rather than relying on anyone else outside the company for any part of it. They smelt their own brass rather than buying it already processed from an outside metal supplier. They weave and dye their own fabric tape too, instead of sourcing pre-made tape from an outside textile company. When the manufacturing machinery available on the open market at the time wasn't precise enough for what Yoshida actually wanted from it, his own engineers simply designed and built custom machines specifically for making zippers, rather than trying to adapt equipment that had originally been built for some other, unrelated purpose entirely somewhere else. That overall approach has a specific, recognizable name in business circles: vertical integration, meaning a company controls multiple stages of its own production process instead of relying heavily on outside suppliers for most of them along the way. The company itself didn't set out one day to illustrate a tidy business school concept for future case studies. It set out to stop depending on anyone else's brass, anyone else's thread, or anyone else's machinery for a component that genuinely couldn't afford to fail once it reached a customer. Controlling each individual stage of that process meant nothing about the final zipper was left to chance sitting somewhere inside a different company's factory, outside anyone's direct oversight. What this doesn't prove. It's tempting to hear a story like this and assume it means one company simply overpowered every single competitor until nothing else was left standing anywhere in the entire industry. Plenty of other zipper manufacturers still exist and still sell plenty of product to plenty of customers today, right alongside YKK. What the company actually built over the decades was a track record specific enough that manufacturers making genuinely expensive garments had considerably less reason to gamble on an unfamiliar alternative just to save a fraction of a cent per zipper on their overall production costs. That's a narrower, more specific claim than total industry domination, and it happens to be the one the actual available evidence genuinely supports without needing to exaggerate anything. It's also worth being genuinely careful with Yoshida's own stated business philosophy, something he called the cycle of goodness, the belief that no one truly prospers without benefiting others in the process along the way. That's a genuine conviction he held and talked about publicly throughout his career, not an independently verified formula that objectively explains the company's later success on its own. Plenty of businesses state a noble-sounding philosophy without it ever translating into anything measurable for the actual customer holding the product. In this specific case, the stated philosophy happened to line up with a genuinely different manufacturing approach that customers could actually feel firsthand in a zipper that simply didn't jam as often. The belief itself and the eventual outcome aren't automatically the same thing, even when they clearly point in the same general direction. Where the reliability actually shows up. During a stretch when supply disruptions are quietly delaying competitors elsewhere across the entire industry for weeks at a time, a clothing brand's warehouse manager notices their own zipper shipment arriving right on schedule anyway exactly as always promised, without anyone at the company needing to explain a delay or apologize for one that never happened. A technician on a busy factory floor runs a machine built specifically for one narrow, precise step in the zipper production process on an ordinary Tuesday shift, like any other week. A piece of equipment that was never sold to any other company anywhere because it was never actually built with selling it in mind in the first place. A newer employee at one of the company's overseas offices hears a manager casually reference the cycle of goodness principle by name while explaining a decision that seems to cost the company real money in the short term, a phrase repeated internally so often by now that it barely registers as anything unusual anymore to anyone who's worked there a while. Someone zips up a jacket on a cold winter morning without thinking about it at all, half asleep and running slightly late for work again, the mechanism doing its job so smoothly and so quietly that it never once crosses their mind on the way out the door that day. The zipper you're not thinking about. Look back down at that zipper on your jacket or your jeans one more time. Those 3 letters aren't there because of clever marketing, and they aren't there simply because one company outlasted everyone else through sheer scale alone. They're there because a manufacturer somewhere made a calculated decision years earlier not to gamble on a component that could quietly ruin an entire finished product over something as small as a fraction of a cent saved per unit. YKK didn't become common by being loud about quality in advertisements. It became nearly invisible by actually being dependable, zipper after zipper, for long enough that people eventually stopped thinking about it entirely. The best zipper was never really the one anyone notices in the moment. It's the one that works so consistently, nobody ever has to think about it at all. If this changed the way you look at the zipper on your jacket the next time you actually reach for it, let us know in the comments below what you want us to explore next in a future video. We might make it our next episode. Thanks for watching. History often hides in the smallest details.